Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, January 13th, 2026 meeting of the Patent Free Library Board of Trustees. I hereby call the meeting to order. And we will start as usual per the agenda with the Secretary's report. Consists of the minutes of the December 9th meeting of 2025. If you had a chance to look at the minutes, I will, are there any comments, corrections, changes regarding the minutes? Not hearing anything, is there a motion to accept the minutes as written? Well, Suki. And Leah, all in favor, say aye, or raise your hand. Okay. Minutes are approved. Adjustments to the agenda. I have nothing to add or change for today. Does anyone else have any suggestions or things they'd like to?
Got one quick one. Just as part of new business, the statement of work was a purpose rather for the gift acceptance policy. That was a separate document and that goes together with the gift acceptance policy.
Is that part in the packet? Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see it.
So, library of things statement of purpose.
Gift acceptance policy, yes, it's there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, it was called LOT statement.
Yes, right. Yeah, right. I wanted to note that too. Yeah, it's regards to the library of things.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, right.
Okay. If I could offer a couple of comments before we get rolling. One is you've already seen, but we have a coming attraction next month when the Building and Technology Committee group on technology will be doing a presentation, leading a discussion for all the board based on their extensive outreach to patrons and to staff. And if you were looking to participate in some of the visioning sessions, so that'll be a significant part of next month's agenda. Some of you, I assume that all of you know it, but just to be sure, at the special corporators meeting in December, the corporators approved the proposed changes in the funding model, but they rejected the amendment for permanent representatives from all the served communities. The majority were in favor, but not to the level of 2/3 required by the bylaws for a change. On the committee staffing front and related things, mostly good news, but first of all, I omitted something here. Allison has volunteered to be the secretary for the trustees. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Get what you pay for.
Well, fortunately, fortunately in that regard, we have someone we pay, and that's Jack Mustay. So he will keep us on the straight and narrow when it comes to the minutes, cover things. But thank you, Allison. As I was saying, on the committee staffing front, we have mostly good news. Bob Jordan is joining the Building and Technology Committee. So you know Bob, husband, known perhaps most famously as husband of Roberta, but he's got a lot of experience, tech and other experiences, so he's a great addition. Also, the Capital Campaign Committee. We're fortunate, very fortunate, to have Leah and Kay Kavanaugh join the Capital Campaign Committee and are already jumping into the outreach to potential donors. So we've got a good plan ahead for that. That being said, we should note, as Samantha has noted, Eileen as well in the past, we really could use more manpower, person power on the development committee. As both Eileen and Samantha have said in the past, this does not entail going out asking for money, but rather brainstorming, coming with ideas, and thinking of ways to continue to expand the library's exposure, but also its financial support. So I would look to see, first of all, if there are any examples or any suggestions you have about how generating more interest in joining the development committee. It does not have to be a trustee, of course, but someone who's interested and would like to be in it. So just as with the capital campaign committee, Kay Kavanaugh is not, he's not a trustee, but she's an enthusiastic addition. Oops. So I'd like to see that replicated, can with the development committee, because it's something that's obviously important and requires constant attention, energy. So maybe while think about that, think about other people whom you think who are supporters or prominent in helping the library community, but maybe a good addition. And especially if they bring some expertise, have good connections to the community and expertise regarding fundraising, or just well connected.
Samantha, you talked about the event planning and having would you include that if there were more people doing that, would they automatically be part of the development committee, do you think? Would you envision that?
We've had one event where we had a committee and they just wanted to be an event committee and didn't really want to participate in development. But then I've struggled getting even event committee members now. So if somebody were to say, yeah, I'd love to do this event, I would also say, you're welcome to join the development committee too. But, I'm open to anything.
By the way, Eileen will be late tonight to the meeting. She's meeting with a vendor at work who showed up late. So she's trying to balance that and will do everything she can to join us a bit later. And finally, I'd just like to it's a comment I make every month, but I'm glad to do it because when I read the monthly statistics report, I see continued growth in many of the categories, such as patron visits, card issuance, ILL, both the month-to-month December, month-on-month December, and year-to-date 25 compared to 24 what we've done. So I just think that's another good sign of the library's continuing impact and importance in the community, and something we can cite as well should people ask about the enthusiasm and support for the usage of the library, which is a big question. So it's something sometimes people raise and say, well, look, this is what's going on. So anyway, I just thought that's a telling set of statistics. That being said, and I got nothing more, and we'll move on to the librarian's report.
Thank you, Carl. So I've got a few things to talk about briefly, and then I've asked Hannah Lackoff, who's our programming and outreach manager, to talk to us today about programming trends in the library. She's going to share updates, statistics, and Hannah and I have talked extensively about trends and how programming has changed from when she began working at Patent Free Library during COVID, and then how things are kind of going, and it's very fascinating. So I think you'll all appreciate hearing what she has to say. So before that, I want to give you a couple of updates. Two updates. One is that fan is fixed, so it should not make any more noise during it. So, and I think we've also resolved the issue, the technology issue with the volume. I'm using a different laptop today than I was using in the past. I was using an older one, which I'm no longer going to use for board meetings, and I think that'll fix the volume. We've tested it with Peggy, and we can hear quite well. So those problems are resolved. I want to give you an update, an EMC update. So I don't know if you've noticed or didn't notice, which is even better, that they've replaced, or not replaced, they've added the new cabinetry to the new heat pumps in the fiction stacks, and they blend in so well that I had to walk back and forth twice to figure out which were the new ones and which were the old ones. And so they're perfectly matched. So you don't even notice it. It's like they were always there, and it's exactly what we want. So those cabinets were worth the wait. They are now in place, and we are so close to being finished. We had someone from IB Controls yesterday who was doing the final test. He basically touched, not physically, but through the software, every single piece in the building to make sure they communicate with each other, and all that wiring works properly. So he did that yesterday. Now they're finishing up the interface, because that does take some building of that interface, of which then library admin will have access to and get trained. So the training is going to be for Elizabeth and I, for admin. We will be the ones that will control the system. So that leads me into my next discussion point, which is we now have figured out why the heat failed in the fiction stack. So if you're aware, if you came in the library a couple weeks ago, I'm not sure, I think it was 10 days or so, or a week where we were without heat in the fiction stacks, the reading room, and of course Samantha's office. And we figured out why that was, because we have a backup in place. But what happened was, and this is what happened, because we're not live with the controls. This is something that wouldn't happen. I would have been able to see through the control system. What happened was a breaker failed that controlled one of the roof units, which then controlled the electricity for a whole zone. And that zone included the reading room and the fiction stacks and Samantha's office. Well, it's in place that the boiler would be the backup. And it was the backup until it ran out of oil. So what we don't know is how long the breaker had probably failed earlier than we thought. The boiler did kick in. I didn't even bother. We expect to use about 500 gallons throughout the whole season now. So we expected there were 2 full tanks at the beginning of the season. I expected that to last, so I didn't even think to check it. So it was kind of a comedy of errors, but that wouldn't have happened had we had the system. I would have gotten all of these alerts when the breaker failed and the unit was no longer working on the roof. I would have known immediately. So it's sort of the transition, and so that's why that happened. So everything, worked up to a point. So it was a series of issues right on top of another, and the fact that I didn't have the controls at my fingertips to see.
Has the breaker been replaced?
Oh yes, the breaker was replaced, and that's within warranty, so there's no charge to us. Yeah, the breaker was replaced. We put fuel. So for now, until the control system go live, I do have the fuel oil on it to every other week delivery, just to make sure to top it off in case there are any problems. So that's why that happened. So I just wanted to explain that to you all and make sure you understood.
What is the tentative or projected time for Elizabeth and you to get the training or the access to the
probably, yeah, good question. Probably within the next couple of weeks. So I've said just let us know when they have the interface and all the troubleshooting finished, and then they're going to contact me to set up the training. So I am certain that will have happened before the next board meeting, because I want to be able to. And I've given them my telephone, my cell, my email, so I will be getting alerts all the time if there are issues. I will get the alert, so I will know immediately that there is a problem.
Okay.
So yeah, and I think that's all I wanted to report, unless there are any questions.
I have a question.
Peggy?
About the heating, the oil, have we used more than anticipated? As you said, we ran out, so it seems.
Absolutely.
So
yes. So
okay.
I was thinking we would talk about that at the finance committee meeting, because we will go over that budget. Okay. There are some options, which I'll talk about. So yes, the bill was about $1,300. So our whole budget is $1,500 for the fiscal year. So we'll have to talk about that. Okay. One of the options is to use, we can talk about it. There are other ways to. Yeah. We'll talk about it at the committee, and then the committee will report back to the board on the options. So yes, we don't expect that to happen again. But again, we're in sort of a transition phase, and things do happen.
All right.
Okay. So I think that's all I have to report. So I'm going to turn it over to Hannah for her exciting presentation.
So where you are.
Yep.
I'm just going to share this screen here. Can you all see it?
No. Oh, yes. Now can.
everybody. I'm Hannah. I'm the Program and Outreach Manager here, and I am here to share with you a lot of what I'm going to share is programming statistics. These are from the previous fiscal year with a little bit from this year sprinkled in. And then, like Leslie said, I'm going to talk also about some trends that we've seen in programming. So I started here in July of 2001, so right after 2021. So it was right after we reopened from COVID. I was literally here for like 2 weeks and then everything shut back down again. So I've really seen quite a difference in programming just in the 5 years that I've been here. And I just want to, before we go on, I just want to say that last year we had over 700 programs. And that's the most that we've ever had that I could find in the statistics. I'm looking at about 10 years in this presentation, but including ones that I looked at previous to that. That is a crazy amount of programs for our small full-time staff with the support of the other staff. But when I count programs, I'm counting everything with the exception of fundraising and development programs. We only started counting numbers for those last year and one other random year, like 6 years ago. There was 1 year where we counted them and then nothing.
Pre-COVID, and then when I came back.
So programming includes weekly programs like story times, regular monthly programs like book groups, and also includes really big programs like Starry Night, and then smaller but still specialty programs like any summer reading programs, Bath Climate Conversations. It also includes book a librarian appointments and any tech programs that we might offer. So it includes everything. And you'll see in a minute all the different categories. So here we go. So this graph shows our total library programs, virtual and physical. It does not include development in this slide. So you can see this yellow line here in the middle is the general, number of programs. Yeah, you can see all of these charts I'm going to show you have this huge dip right in the middle. Obviously, we all know why that is. But you can see that even if this had been like more of a straight line through here, in the last few years, we're just like skyrocketing up with our total number of programs. What I think is really interesting from this slide is, so you can see the children's ones are in gray, and they've really stayed really steady throughout this whole time, around 250, 275 programs a year. Even during COVID, like they didn't take as much of a dip as everyone else did. And then you can see the teen programs. Pre-COVID, we had really robust teen programming. We had a really dedicated, strong teen library council, which really supported all of the programs. They created programs, they attended programs, they brought their friends. And then during COVID, this number, it just tanked and we never got them back, which is a big part of the reason that we've been asking for a teen librarian for so long, is because without a teen librarian, the rest of us cannot cobble together these numbers that we used to have. We used to have it without a teen librarian, but with the way that programming has changed, and I'll talk more about that in a later slide, the way that it's changed, we need somebody dedicated just to teens. It's such a specialty group that they don't come on their own. Adults come on their own. Kids come because their parents drag them. Teens are doing their own thing, and they need someone who can pull them in separately. But with adult programming, we see it was pretty good here. Lost some people, not too bad during COVID. We had a lot of good online virtual programming during COVID. And then since then, it's just been rising and rising and rising. The need is here in our community. And this is a trend that we're not the only library who's seeing this, but clearly the adults, they found us and they want more. Look, we had more than 400 last year, which is a lot. Okay, this next one is program categories. So this is broken down a little more Similarly, you can see the children's programs here in yellow always are high. Of course they are. We all know that children programs are like things like story times are the core of library programs. If you're going to have nothing else, you're going to have some story times. You get them young and you can keep them, hopefully, is the goal. Adult programs, similar, same as the last slide. Not super high here, pretty low during COVID, and then just continuing to grow. The ones that are broken out in this slide that aren't in the other ones are the tech training ones. This is programs like Book a Librarian, the NDEC is National Digital Equity Center. Those have been growing steadily, really since COVID. We've always had things like Book a Librarian, but it's just more evident now that it's such a need. There's a huge digital literacy gap, and now we're able to offer more Book a Librarians again. You can see we used to offer them well here. Staff had to focus on other things here, and now we're starting to build up that program again. The history room, we didn't have history room staff prior to 2020, I think, is that when Jill started? 2019 to 2020.
We had staff before.
But it wasn't dedicated, it wasn't the same position. It wasn't an archivist position who was tracking numbers. So we don't have stats. We know like the Town History Series has always been hugely popular, but we didn't have the specifically recorded numbers until 2021. And you can see it's varied a little bit. There were a lot of online history room programs during 2020 and 2021. And then the rest of these are almost entirely made up through the Town History Series because we're about to do year 22 and it's still hugely popular. And then you can see this tiny little development. Something happened. This one, and this one. That's all we have for development. I don't know what was going on in 2016, Samantha, but something was really
Must have had a lot of
going
events.
well.
Oh, we had a night mat.
Yeah.
Huge. Our Quescon Centennial, maybe.
There you go.
And here's this is not quite this. This is attendance. So it matches the number of programs as you would expect. The children's are the highest, and then the adults and teens flip-flop through here. These are, for the purposes of this, I combined history room with adult because it's adults coming to that. I didn't break it out for this one. So this is virtual and physical combined. So we do keep track of it separately. This is all of them total together just to get a snapshot of everything that people are coming for. And then this one is broken out. And oops. And so you can see children's again is the same because children's has never done much virtual programming. We had to do some when we were totally shut down. There's some virtual story times and things like that. But other than that, children's has really been focused in person or else doing things that you can take home like a grab and go kit. We're not still doing Zoom programs. The adult virtual programs, they're small and kind of hard to see, but you can see, of course, they went way up during 2021, 2022, even 2020. I think the battery just died in this, but I think even 2023 here we still were doing some, but we found in the last 2 years the appetite is just not there. It's actually the way that you all are attending this meeting is a really good breakdown. The majority of the people are in person. A few people are attending online who just couldn't make it, but the majority of people's preference is to go back to in-person programming. We offer very little in the way anymore of virtual only programs. I think the only one still going is the movie discussion group, which started during COVID and just that group loves it so much that they've just kept going. Other than that, we do a few hybrid programs, but what we found is that hybrid was great when it was a necessity, but as we've moved back to everything is reopened now, what hybrid programming does is means that you're kind of getting the worst of both options because it's so hard to focus both on the people in the room and on the people online that nobody's really getting the complete focus and the complete attention of the presenter or of each other, if it's a discussion group, it's very difficult to give like a really high quality program hybrid. So we've moved away from that. We've moved towards streaming. The History Room, the Town History Series last year, instead of presenting hybrid, they did it streaming. So people can tune in to our YouTube channel, watch it live, but it wasn't participatory. You couldn't ask questions. You had to be in the room for asking questions, and it worked like a dream. It was such a better experience for everyone, especially the presenters, because they weren't juggling both of those or getting interrupted by people jumping in. And then we have this great recording of the events that people can then go back and watch later. And people do go back and watch our recorded events later. So here's our numbers. This is last year, providing a little snapshot. Children's programs, we had 76 programs, and at those 76 programs, we had 2,500 people. So we count everybody who's in the room, babies, adults, small people. Some of them, that's why we can fit so many in there. But babies, adults, any additional caregivers, any siblings, we count the presenters, we count volunteers. So anyone who's in the room or the gazebo, as the case may be. Mary had some story times last summer that had over 100 people in the gazebo. That really contributed to these attendance numbers. And then adult programs, we had 103 programs and 886 people in attendance, which is about what I would expect. We had more adult programs, but lower attendance because adult programs do not have 100 people. Adult programs have 5 if it's like the knitting circle, maybe 50 if it's the Town History Series. So it's a smaller group. Adult programming is more focused. For adult programming, we have a lot more community-driven weekly programs that build on each other. We have a writing group that's been meeting here for a couple of years, and it's like 10 or 12 really dedicated people. We get the same people each week, but it's not the same environment as story times, which is why there's more programs, but less numbers. And then to compare, here is, it says this, but I didn't mention it. This is July through December of last year. So this is roughly half of what will be at the end. Here's this year, July through December. So we are so far above where we were last year at this time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we've roughly doubled everything. Number of programs, attendance, for everything. So this is an example of programs, the style of programs that we did from about 2015 to 2021. I didn't include COVID programs in these pictures because there's really nothing to see because they're just photos of people on Zoom. But we used to offer a lot of sit-down lecture-style programs. We offered other programs, but these were our really well-attended ones. History room talks, author talks, music, local public speakers. That's the kind of program that people were really looking for. You can see in these examples, I don't have specific numbers for these programs, but you can see this room is full of people sitting in chairs and watching either a concert or a book reading or some sort of slideshow. We found that's not the case anymore. With few exceptions like the Town History Series, what people are looking for now are these kind of programs. These are really community-driven programs where people intergenerationally can come together to meet new people, to have some sort of service, to learn something. They're looking for hands-on things like repair cafes, puzzle race. Fair Treats did cupcake decorating. When we do concerts, we've moved them downstairs to the reading room. It's beautiful. The acoustics are great. And like the Bowdoin International Music Festival, we had like 80 people last year. They didn't all sit for the whole thing. People drifted in and out. The concert was about 90 minutes. So families came and left, and you could hear the music throughout the library. And it was beautiful. And then the writing contest, which we've had we're about to do the 11th year this year. And it used to be just teens, just 2 categories. Now we've expanded teens through adults. We have 3 categories. We have judges from the community. We put on a big reception and invite everybody, all the judges, all their families, and it's turned into this really lovely community event. So community is the big the big word for what people are looking for in the programs. They still want to learn things, but they don't necessarily want to attend a lecture. They especially don't want to attend a lecture on Zoom. They want to come in and talk to somebody about how to get their lamp repaired or bring their friends and do a puzzle race. Here's just an example of some of the other things we've been doing for outreach. We've really pushed up our outreach in the last year or two. We have started tracking these outreach statistics, what we're doing, where we're going, who we're going, what towns we're covering. I'm working on compiling all of those. We only started in May, so it's not a complete picture yet, but here's some of the stuff we've done in the last 2 years. Some things we've always done, like the Heritage Days Parade, we've been doing for forever. Set for Success, we've been attending for a long time. But last year we attended the Georgetown Fun Frolic, and we had a table at Bath Pride. And we're really trying more to get out into the community, all of our communities, through these physical events. And then we're also trying to get out there through our physical flyers, through putting things in the different publications from not just Bath papers, but in Georgetown and Arousik, and just getting out there into the community again in all the different ways that we can. We're also serving the community for these hands-off programs. Most of these have started within the last year or two. The sharing table has been going on for longer than that. That is through Midcoast Hunger Prevention and the Merry Meeting Gleaners. They bring fresh produce once a week. The teen pantry has been going on for about 4 years. We supply toiletries, food, and school supplies in the teen space. And we just opened up last week. This little free pantry is a new one. It's downstairs in the cafe corner for anybody who's looking for food or toiletries. And all of these, again, go with this whole community-driven thing. People like to donate to these. They donate food, they donate toiletries, they donate so much yarn. COVID tests, we now have masks too. Those are from community organizations. So none of this, I purchased some seeds last year, but none of this is funded. We're not buying things and giving them to people. This is more like a community exchange. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, here are some upcoming programs that are going to up those numbers even more. We've got the annual writing contest coming up. AARP Tax Aid will be back again. The Children's Room does a March Madness where they vote for their favorite characters of books. It's brackets of kids' books characters. The Poetry Walk will be back. The Very Fancy Tea Party will be back again. Repair Cafe will cycle through around in April. And then, of course, summer reading will be here before you know it for all ages. Plus, we have all of our weekly programs and all of our monthly programs, which is why we had over 700 programs last year. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
What's the Death Cafe?
The Death Cafe it's an international movement where people come together in a facilitated discussion about death and dying and also eat cake. The cake's a very important part.
You can't have dying without cake.
It's not really sponsored by anyone. It's just an organization. Sometimes, so Aurora, the librarian who's on the reference desk that you'll see when you leave, she runs it once a month, and she's brought in outside speakers. She brought in the woman from the Maine's Right to Die.
The Death with Dignity.
Death with Dignity, that's what it is. Yeah, they had a speaker last summer, and then other than that, she just facilitates conversation. We get like 12 to 14 people each month. It's been really popular. And they're all over the world, and they're really popular at libraries.
There was an article in the paper about it a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. In the Times Record?
I think the Sunday Telegram
Oh,
probably.
yeah. Huh. Look it up.
Not that I'm advocating or excusing doing something to try to re-engage the teams, but and all of this, I didn't move to Bath until 2020. So is any of the drop off in teen, can any of that be attributed to the growth of the youth center and things going on there? Anything at all?
So from my impression, it's different audiences, and we still get a ton of teens. We have a really big teen community here. We just don't have a staff member to facilitate programs. So they are here. They are in the teen space all the time. The only thing we do structured wise for them specifically are monthly grab and go kits. And then sometimes we'll put crafts in the teen space for them, and they always take the kits and they always do the crafts. We have there's some overlap with children's programming, of course, and some programming overlap with adults. We have, like, the Mary did a Dungeons and Dragons program that went up to age 14. So we were getting some of the younger teens. But I wouldn't say we've had any sort of drop off in teens in the library. The only thing we've had a drop off is teen programs and the Teen Library Council. And I suspect that has a lot to do with COVID, and just the way that teens participate in their community.
If you didn't have an older sibling do it because of the COVID, why would you do it?
Right, and a lot of the
It takes some
teens
effort.
who did it brought the teens in. So when we lost that, by the time we were back open, those kids had all graduated. So it was building it up from scratch. And I tried. I think I had 3 groups cycle through, and they'd come to 2 meetings and then they would just be gone. And I talked to the teens in there a lot, and my impression of them is that they really want a space to hang out. They really want snacks. They really want something to do, but they don't want to commit to a specific time or day. They were all like, oh, maybe I'd come to that program if I'm around. So yeah. Yeah, but I don't think the teen center, I don't think it's a conflict. I think we're different populations serving different groups, and we do work in partnership with them on things sometimes. So I don't think that is it.
I certainly can speak to the rest. When my daughter was a teen, the idea, try to plan something.
Yeah.
Like maybe.
Yeah.
I don't get a better offer, maybe.
It is hard to come to get an adult program, like let alone teens. Yeah.
Great. Are there any other questions?
Ready. Thank you.
I'd be curious to hear from Dawn.
I have a
Please.
question.
Oh, maybe, or undo the share.
Yeah, Peggy.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's great, Hannah, how you've been doing more outreach to the other communities, and I'm wondering, I know it's very difficult to track participation from communities, but I wonder if you do that for any of the programs, like programs you have to sign up for, or, I think it could be a good thing for us to know, especially around the funding issue,
Yeah.
If
You mean what towns people are coming
what
from?
towns people are coming
so
from.
We've just started. We realized we weren't doing a very good job tracking it in a few places where we could be. These aren't programs, but we have just started tracking towns when people sign up to use one of our spaces, like this room or the group study rooms or the pods. We just started, just in January, requiring them to input what town they're from. Anytime that anyone has to register for something online, we will now be tracking what town they're from. And this is a big one. We're going to track this year because TaxAid has switched to doing signups, and we're doing the signups for them. We're going to get all the information on what town people are coming from for TaxAid. And we have so far, they have like 250-ish slots open to people. So that's going to be a lot of information. So we are working on that. We don't require registration for a lot of programs, which makes it hard to track unless people volunteer. We had a repair cafe last weekend, and on the sign-in sheet, I did ask for people's towns on that. So we have it. We don't have a great way to do it just because so many of our programs are drop-in, but we are working on figuring out as many ways as we can to track that when we can track it.
Mm-hmm. Good, thank you.
I would really agree with that. Even trying a sign-in sheet, knowing you might not capture everybody, but some of that's just asked year after year.
Yeah.
The town budget ask.
I did track the community room reservation has always asked what town it's from. And I'm going to send it to Leslie when it's totally finished, but I did go through and track in the past year use for this room, overwhelmingly Bath. There was one group from Georgetown, all the rest were Bath. And then the second most was Brunswick because Midcoast Senior College uses this room so often. So I don't know how helpful that will end up being, but it is interesting to see.
If you're just getting the organizer.
Right, that's.
Right, yeah, that is
Right.
just the
You know,
organizer.
if there's the climate conversation, people came from
Right,
all the
of course, yeah.
localities, but
Yeah.
it's a bad person that signs their life away.
Yes.
Is there anything else? I know we've got,
Impressive.
Oh, I have another question.
yes, Peggy.
Has there been ever any thought about doing programs in other communities?
Yes, we think about it all the time. We just don't have the staff to do it regularly.
Uh-huh.
Because it's really just me and Mary
Yeah,
doing the majority of like the not the outreach programs, but like if it's a story time, like it's gonna be Mary. So we have thought about that and we would love to figure out a way to do it. Maybe your boat, maybe that could do traveling book group. Yeah, Roberta used to do some tech outreach to some of the group homes. I think she went to the plant home maybe. But it is the biggest barrier to that is staffing.
yeah. Mhm.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's move on to the capital campaign update. Rebecca?
Good evening, Hannah. That was awesome. I'm glad I got to hear all of that.
3 million
Um,
reasons to listen to you today.
3 million. Oh, way to steal a good joke right out from under me. Let me see. I'm trying to do a share request here. Is it letting me? It is. Wonderful. All right. You know, I love a slide, so I've always got a slide, though it's a brief update today. But as Carl just alluded to, it's finally possible to say that we've raised more than $3 million in just a little bit more than 2 years' time. So congratulations, everyone in the room, and I'm so proud of the amount of effort this took on the part of staff and trustees and campaign committee volunteers. And the generosity of donors is just staggering and inspiring. And some of you have heard this already, but that's actually just from 56 donors. So we've really been speaking with our most dedicated and generous supporters, and we're continuing to do that and also casting a bit of a wider net as we go forward. So that $3 million breaks down into $2 million in hand and a little less than $1 million in pledges through fiscal year 28. The other thing I wanted to share is that our campaign committee has grown. We had a wonderful meeting yesterday as this broader group. Not everyone is able to come to every meeting, which is fine. But we have now, let's see, I didn't count this, Carl, Tommy, Eileen, Suki, Roger, Anthony, Kay, Michelle, Jamie, and Leah. That's 10 people helping us speak to donors, and room for more if anyone else is interested. But I think what's so wonderful about this is just that when one of you is in the room saying, join me, I believe in this, this is a great thing for our community, it just is so much more powerful than a staff member doing that. And that I attribute the success we've had so far to the authentic representation you've all done as volunteers. So thank you. Some things coming up. We are presenting to Bath City Council on February 4th. I wanted to note that we also have a very large ask this month of an individual family of $250,000. So hopefully we can have some more good news about that soon. And we're also devising a plan to have a really solid attempt at asking both Bath Savings and Bath Iron Works for a significant contribution to the campaign with the help of some existing donors. We're aiming for at least 5 asks per month, and I am optimistic that we'll continue to report growth in that fundraising number as time goes on. Leslie, anything you want to add, or Carl, or any questions from folks?
Maybe we've mentioned this before, but say the city is particularly interested in the outside, the extension or the children's garden area of the portion of phase 2. So we've focused a lot on that and hope we've gotten encouraging signs so far. So we're working, that's what we're particularly going to talk about when we do the presentation with them to them on the 4th.
Mhm. And a special thank you, Carl. You've been a part of a lot of these initial meetings with the city. And then going forward, John and Chris are both going to be sounding boards to help us refine our presentation and make sure we put our best foot forward. So thank you to everyone helping with that. I think it's going to be good.
Great. Any questions for Rebecca? Okay. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you. Good night, everybody. Take care.
We'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda? Seconded. Okay, all in favor? All right, move on to the monthly report. Let's start with the staff monthly report. If I could say a couple things. One is kudos to everybody who was involved this Starry Night. It was a great event, really nice. And we saw there was descriptions from Samantha and all the reports. It was really great. Despite the frigid temperatures, it seemed everybody really enjoyed it. I also want to say, note that Hannah got some publicity for the library and her contribution. The Portland Press Herald article about recommended reading. It's nice that the library gets that publicity, and also kudos to her for the success of the writers group. To Mary and the other Children's Department personnel for the success of the Winter Wonderland Storytime, doubling the participation from last year. And this again is the type of information we should have at the ready when we're talking with served municipalities as another example of how the library benefits them. So I did have one question, more of a technical question, I think, for Elizabeth about the title, the note about the Title II and getting ready for that. I may be splitting hairs here, but it was described as applying to public libraries. Although technically we are not a public library, but I assume, right, that's what I thought was the angle, right? So we come under that, okay. Okay. And then one other question I had regarding the town history series. What are the perceived burdens or obstacles that make, in the current way it's organized, that sort of discourage participation? Jack mentioned that, I'm trying to streamline it or revamp that. Do you know what those are?
I think he's referring to what Hannah was saying. That some of those are so large they exceed the capacity.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when they switched over to that streaming model.
Right.
So that they required registration, and when that fills up, then they.
I interpret this to mean presenter participation. That the numbers have gone down. There are 3 now this year instead of sometimes in the past there were 5.
That as well, right? I think it's harder and harder to get. The way our model has been, we approach the historical societies in the various towns, and then they choose someone, to represent or to give a presentation. We want to kind of broaden that a little bit, and maybe, so I think that's what he's talking about, is finding another way to solicit, and for example, Phippsburg or even Brunswick, if there's something that has some historical significance to in this region, we don't want to just, ignore that. So I think it's really broadening the base so that we can get more presentations. He's even talked about maybe doing in a symposium style where there's things going on over a weekend and you can choose what you want to attend. We're just trying to find a way just to change the model that we've had for it, because it is harder and harder, especially in small towns like Arousik, to get, and we're not, dissing Arousik at all, but, so maybe instead of focusing on this one per town, there might be another way.
Okay.
So that's what I think what he means. But Allison, who's been, how many years have you presented?
I've done, between my husband and I, we've done 11.
11, I thought, to speak, but I knew it was a lot.
Yeah, but so, well, so we will have something. It just,
Oh, you are. You're gonna-
I'm not on the board, and it might be me and Rob, but it might well be someone. But anyway, they were meeting yesterday.
Okay. I was just
Yeah,
curious
so
about
you're,
that.
I think you're correct in that.
That's what it's telling, interpreting. Right, other questions about the monthly report?
Yes.
Peggy?
I wanted to ask Elizabeth if she could expand a bit on the complete digital accessibility project, because it sounds like in your report, and I think Hannah had mentioned it in hers, it's a big, big task, and I didn't quite understand the entirety of it. I wonder if you could say a little bit more what it entails.
Yep, it's part of the ADA, the American with Disabilities Act, and there was a final ruling in 2024 that imposed a deadline for digital accessibility. So it's a handmaiden to physical accessibility in public buildings. Your digital material now has to be accessible too, and they've given a deadline for us for a library our size. It will be April of 2027. But it's a huge job. It's not just websites, social media. For us, it's all of our digital content. Most of that's provided by third parties. So it's on their responsibility to make sure that material is accessible, but we have to provide documentation for that. So the reason that it's kind of kicking in now is that library councils, third-party vendors are starting the webinar process of teaching everybody what's involved to do it. So it's going to be a lot of work. It's it's also a terrific opportunity for us to devote some time to our digital presence, in particular our website, in addition to getting it accessible, making it better for everybody to use. So right now we're just, it's going to be Hannah and I primarily, but then it will probably affect all staff at some level.
Well, for example, with the website, if it has to be total accessibility, are you saying that the website has to be available in Braille and have an audio component as well?
Right. So there is a list of standards that we have to meet, and yes, it has to have a reader. There has to be, and all of those, and it's significant. They have different levels. We probably only have to match the first level, but it would behoove us to meet as many levels as we possibly can.
Oh, I can see. Okay, no, I get it. That's a big job.
It's a big job. It's a really big job.
Yeah.
I said to Hannah, this is going to be our capital campaign, or that amount of work. Yeah.
Can you get outside help, or will you need volunteers or?
Yeah, the main state library hasn't offered a lot, but I have a feeling they will be soon. They're directing us now to other library systems, Washington State. Some of them are taking an early lead, but we can participate in that training.
Move on to building and technology. Any questions? Coming in factors. Finance. You don't have. Any words of wisdom? Or I should say, any questions about the report, which was, pretty complete. Friends? We've got a report for governance. We have still reassembling ourselves, but we did confer regarding heading Bob Jordan to the Building and Technology Committee. Policy and personnel.
Oh, I know what I wanted to know.
I had one question, just to be sure, there's a, regarding the section on the consultant, there's a reference to issues, quote, the committee has agreed that the process should start with issues we've already identified in past committee meetings. Has that been finalized, or is there a list of those issues that you're going to actually do?
Yeah, I didn't repeat it because those have come up on previous minutes and I can certainly provide those again. Some examples are we polled different members of the committee,
Right.
but the grievance policy. Or the biggest one is the one really by law, the HR for the, I'm always getting the term, but the medical leave.
Right.
That's been held. So that's, yeah. So that's the big one that's gonna require to make sure that that's worded correctly.
Right.
But then there were some added things that, I mean, I had some concerns about wording about the exit policy, wording, grievance policy, and now I'm blanking on the others, but we had a list of about 5. I don't know if others come to mind.
Okay.
And then I think discussing about the consultant is, Leslie's been exploring that. And, that might come in under the budget line it wouldn't necessarily need to come to the trustees for, so.
Okay. Probably before you launch, it'd probably be good just to repeat it to us one more time.
Sure.
So we're aware what your address, what your priorities are.
The only thing I was gonna add, because I don't think there's a line, it's outlined, but at the last trustees meeting, Mary's proposal about the RSU1 students having the free library card, we had other things to address, so that came partway through the meeting. And we really just did a first pass at it. So a lot of the bullet items are listed in the minutes. It's a complicated topic. And I saw the email that went around from Mary Ellen.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna need, with reference to what is in the minutes, more information needs to be gathered. So that's how we ended with the meeting, that Elizabeth and Leslie, they're gonna compile some of the questions that came up. They're gonna do more information gathering, and that includes, because there's some similar situations, Topsom, I think, being the most, having the problem where they actually have their SAD 75 students paying a reduced fee. So that's one example. But we do have examples of what other local libraries are doing. So
Yeah, Mary Ellen made one suggestion, and then the other, you can think of a number of variations, at least in theory.
right.
What's workable is another
I mean, we
question.
came to the same conclusions. I mean, there's the town percentage. What is town funding? If you have to start explaining that you're a non-participating, non-served community is getting that benefit versus the equity issue, which is huge.
We're not a municipal library as well, which is another issue there. I mean, we're a private. And I don't know if the other ones are.
Well, we're sort of, yes, sort of, I mean, that's the whole thing, because we've got municipal funding.
Right, we have
so-
municipal funding, but exactly.
Is Scanapa that way too? Scanapa Library, are they a municipal?
Not
They're set
sure
up
on that one.
The same way, they're a nonprofit and then they get municipal funding from Bristol.
There's so many.
It's like it's like 2 towns. We have some of the highest in my group of library development people who meet. We talk about this, and our library is the highest among that group of amount of towns. But I think they have 2 or 3.
It's even a little tricky though, because Curtis has a 501c3 status, but they get almost all their municipal funding from the town of Brunswick and Harpswell. They do have but they are they are a nonprofit, so it's not they can fundraise.
Yeah,
So same thing with Topsom. Topsom is probably the best funded library in the state as far as per capita, and they are a 501c3. So even that is not that clear. It's more than that. It's more than just having the nonprofit. It's really, I mean, all you're funded is so so it is a little bit. There are a lot of libraries that have that nonprofit status.
Harpswell has its own library as well, even though they participate in Curtis,
Yeah, right.
And Curtis
Yeah,
actually
that's right, they're fun.
fills that library for them.
They pay Curtis, so that's even adds another wrinkle to Thompson's situation.
Mhm.
Should we continue, I guess I'm asking the trustees, should we continue the discussion in our committee going forward?
Yes, well, I would say so, because you've got the expertise there and experience and something that, help focus our thinking.
Dependent on the library staff.
Yeah,
who are gonna
sure.
provide this kind of information, because even the legal side, I mean, we're all asking the questions.
Sure.
So,
It is,
and it's
what
complicated.
seems like a first.
You look at the list, you look at the list of questions or in their minutes of the things
Yeah.
that came up, it's just all over the place.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, to be continued. Anthony,
Oh, my turn.
yes, indeed.
Let me pull up the value of the endowment as of yesterday, the 12th of January, 2026. The value of the endowment is $9,542,361.80. Does anybody have any questions on any of the documents submitted? I don't think we have anything of note to mention.
Particularly.
No, everything's pretty much running where it should.
The interest rate on the loan was very welcome news. Discussed.
Oh, yes, I don't remember it off the top of my head now, but
Either, but yeah, it's down for sure. I mean.
yeah, we
couple
lowered it
points.
by at least 2%. I can't remember now, but
I think that's about right.
yeah. So sorry, I don't remember that off the top of my head now. I should have brought that. But yeah, so we did finalize that. I think we might have discussed that last time, but we did finalize the conversion of the loan, which I think we did talk about last time. But so the interest rate that we're paying is less than we were paying. So that's great. It's right around, I think it's like 5.25.
5.8.
It's 5.8?
Yeah.
Which is surprisingly nearly 2% less than where we were. So that's great. Hard to believe that we were paying that much, but that's the way the market was. So, yeah, so that's good news. That saves us a lot.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Development.
Okay, starting with the facts and figures. Annual fund as of today is $100,647 plus $13,719 in open pledges. So the total to be received at this moment is $114,366. So great progress on the annual fund. Samantha has some sheets she's going to pass out where it's a list of who everybody's stewarding right now. And Samantha we would like for you guys to all review it and let us know if there's anyone on there that you no longer want to steward.
There's at the staple.
And it's not something you have to decide right this second, but if you can review it while we're having other conversations for the rest of this meeting and get it back to Samantha at the end of the meeting, if possible, that would be great. Samantha also has a list, and I don't know if, are you going to circulate this or are we going to do it later? The unclaimed ones, are you?
Just the major, and we'll skip past the others. I'll do it digitally, but I have these, which is donors who've given over 1,000 and are John Pat Society members that don't have stewards. So if you want to pass it, if you see anybody you want to steward, write your name next to them, and then I'll collect that at the end.
That'd be very helpful if everybody could take a moment and do that. So on to a challenging thing we're facing right now is that A Night at Patton, as everybody knows, May 16th of 2026 this year is what we were planning, 5 to 8 p.m. or 6 to 9 p.m.
Yeah.
This event was, this is one of the reasons we're not doing the spelling bee this year is because this is going to be our major spring fundraiser. So we're hoping to raise $10,000 from this event. Samantha's been talking to tent vendor. We were talking about having it be sort of a community focused event that maybe has music, food, silent auction, fire pit, s'mores, all kinds of fun stuff could be part of this event. However, we don't have anybody in place to organize this event right now. Samantha cannot do it, nor can Hannah. There's just not enough hours in the day.
I picked up, just so everybody knows, Rebecca, starting in February, will no longer be attending most of the campaign donor meetings, and I will replace her and be attending those, so that will add quite a bit to my schedule.
So we really need board members to step into the breach and volunteer to be planners and own the event, not just sort of high level stuff, but actually down in the nitty gritty. So it involves creating and executing a theme, getting silent auction items, getting sponsors, so on and on. So we really need someone to help us with this. If anyone is willing to play that role, it could be two people together, sort of co-chair situation. But if we don't have someone volunteer for this, we're going to have to cancel this event and find a way to find $10,000 someplace else. So that is what we're facing right now. We don't have an event planning committee anymore. We used to have sort of a subcommittee that was part of the development team, and no longer. So thoughts, ideas?
I can approach the corporators till I'm blue in the face, but I really think, and they don't respond, I really think this is why I said we need a trustee here, because if a trustee comes to them with that, so, you know, every time we have an event, I put out an email to the friends, the volunteers, and the corporators, which is a couple hundred people, and I get no responses. I think also they're probably tired of hearing from me because I do email them quite often. And again, it's a staff member asking them versus a trustee, which a lesson from a campaign I think we can all share is peer-to-peer works, staff member reaching out, not the same. So.
Everybody sits on committees, and some of us are still working during the days and that type of thing, but it would behoove us to come together and figure this out. Anybody else have any ideas?
I thought of, as you already have, though, of trying to pull in the corporators who always say that they're not informed and they want to help but don't know how to help. That's another example.
Right, so what we did for Starry Night, which you probably saw in my development report, was I emailed all the friends, the trustees, the corporators, I asked for help. Nobody was able to help, and we made a significant decrease in what we had expected, because that meant my time was spent doing volunteer work, basically. And so no, they just didn't, nobody even responded, let alone, you know, like, no, I can't do it, but like radio silence. So, I don't know.
Is a corporator-wide email or some means of contacting, is that effective even if it came from a trustee, or should it be, I don't know, how do we pick on people who we think have a higher chance potentially of participating?
I mean, and I happily can supply the list of any of the corporators who have participated in the past. But I think really it needs a trustee to coordinate that communication. But there is probably, I don't know, 10, 15 of them who have in the past been would help in some capacity for the event. So I think that would be a start, Nate. You know, instead of just doing a broad to all corporators, you could start with that pocket. But again, I think they're tired of hearing from me.
Is there another way of raising that 10,000 if we can't organize this event? I mean,
I'm sure I'm sure there's always a way to raise money, but I mean, if you look back at the development plan that we all agreed to, I pretty much put in there exactly how much we're going to raise from each appeal, and I've calculated it all out. We already increased our goal by 5,000 this year, despite being in a capital campaign and having that effect on our giving, which it has slowly started to eke into it. I don't know. It's not going to come from an appeal. We've got a soft ask going out next week in our tax letters, and then we've got the spring appeal. And we did say we would do a phone-a-thon at the end of the year. So there's potential, but by my calculations, that's, unless suddenly people started giving double what they normally give, I don't see that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say, yeah, we'll just send out more mailings, because I don't think I don't think that's gonna do it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we have to make up that little bit from the Starry Night, which I know 2,000 doesn't seem like a lot to,
But-
in the big, right, in the
Then
big
it's
scheme of things. but-
12 rather than 10.
Yeah, exactly. So we've already got 2, now another 10, and yeah.
We reached out to the friends.
I have not reached out to the friends on this. In the past, they've not been quick to jump on anything like that. I am going to approach them for Starry Night, because that has become more work than it's worth for me, but I do think it's a valuable event, and it would be a great friends event, but I can't see them. So I had asked them to take over the spelling bee, and that didn't happen. And then I'd asked them to participate more heavily in Starry Night. That didn't happen. So I don't want to put my eggs in that basket, at least coming from me and talking in a friends meeting. Like, I don't know. And they'll be starting to plan their Heritage Days
Mhm.
at that point too.
Mhm. If we could come up with based on past experience, a higher priority list of corporators, I'd be glad to write to them.
Okay. All right, I will do that.
Just make the push and then encourage them in turn to bring in more people.
Yeah, and I still think that a board member has to chair this event. Like, the heavy lifting can't come from me. It would, if I hadn't, if I wasn't gonna be taking over all of this, that wasn't in the plan, but when I wrote this plan a year ago, it wasn't in the plan to be doing more of these capital campaign committee meetings, so I just don't see that I'm gonna have the time to go out and get all the sponsors. And I feel like a trustee, leading the committee, it carries that gravitas too. And it also says that the board is committed to our fundraising event and committed to our success, which would trickle down to the corporators and the Friends members, I think.
Yeah. It'd be even better if the initial letter never came from me, but also from the chair of the organizing committee.
I don't know whose question this is for. How much did spelling bee raise? And I was like, did I not spell enough words?
I can't think of it off the top of my.
Yeah, but like 2,000.
Oh, no, like 8,000. Yeah, no, the spelling bee raises, and that comes from sponsorship and team entry.
Yeah,
It was a
okay.
little less last year, but that might have been our location.
Is that the chocolate church one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I have it here.
Okay. No, it's just.
But so in the past, to give an idea why 10,000 was the goal, is in the past, our annual dinners have always been a $10,000 goal.
Right.
Or roughly in that, and that's roughly what we raise. We can pretty much guarantee if we have any type of sit-down dinner, we're gonna have 100 to 125 people there. So you can kind of get an idea from that, where we go. And I'm not actually 100% sold on the tents and the sit-down dinner after pricing it out. A sit-down meal is $7,000 to $14,000. We have a $5,000 budget. Tent rental is $3,000. So, yeah. So I've already started to do some of that legwork though, so I'd be happy to have a committee then that I could say, here's all the things that I've worked through, let's come up with a solid plan. But last year the spelling bee made 8,000.
Oh. Respectable.
Right.
So, hopefully you guys will think on it and consider. Think of all your friends that like to plan parties and bring them to the table.
I'm gonna do all the heavy lifting. I'm gonna get the food. I'm gonna deal with tickets. I'm gonna I have a lovely sponsorship packet ready to go that can be delivered, and all of those things are done, but we need boots on the ground. We need bodies. We need other brains. That we've got a good idea of what the event could be, but to execute it really needs board input.
Okay, well, come back to it.
Town area school activities. Any developments?
Is the letter to go out.
Yes.
Yeah, that, I was remiss to not do that old
No, that was-
number, but it's in progress, so.
So,
For the rotating, since it didn't pass on. to have a
We
rotating-
did a draft of the letter to
West Bath.
West Bath, and Leslie and I have looked at it and made some suggestions. It'll be there, ready to go out very shortly
Yeah, should have been.
for the municipal trustee.
Okay, yeah.
That's. All right, you ready to move on to the budget?
Or just look at it.
Oh, if there's anyone who wants to.
Okay, draft 3. Now refresh our memory, Leslie, on this. Is there anything? Any changes?
No.
Okay. You know, an ambitious budget, and we'll be looking for not only increases from the supporting certain municipalities, but of course inching up their percentage too, the total amount. And you saw Leslie's notes about priorities, it was highlighting.
what do we look, I'm sorry, what are we looking at?
Budget.
Okay, which part?
Draft 3, and then Leslie had some budget notes for the draft.
My notes, some things, but
It's the same draft from last month, so nothing has changed.
if any notes. No, these
Same.
are supposed to be at different places. Okay.
I mean, the main story is just the addition of the teen librarian.
Right, because
The
it
fact that
is,
a lot of things have gone up in price, like insurance premiums.
Mhm.
So that's great.
and the maintenance of our new automated system and additional, HVAC, that's an added cost. COLA increases for staff, and again, the addition of a 20-hour-a-week teen librarian to help us reinvigorate our teens and get the teen library council going again, and to really build up services, engagement with teens.
I think this was the last time we met. Yeah. Yeah. Do we have any clear idea? I don't know if, see, is there I hate to use the word surplus, but unspent money from last year's budget that we're applying?
We'll be confirming that, but if you notice there, it is as a carryover in the budget. So yes, we expect that to be the case. Yes, that is included in there.
Surplus.
That was, I forget.
What's that from again? I know you.
From
Thirty.
from the carry
Yeah,
forward
34,000
year.
is what, no, it's 30.
Right, but why
Yeah, why?
was there?
See, we talked about this in finance, why we had, some of it was the staffing line, we didn't spend as much during was that when we had during the ILL shutdown, so there was some staffing savings.
Oh,
I'd
that's
have to
right.
look through, I know we did discuss this in finance, if you can remember what some of
Part
the
of it had
other.
to do with the ILL shutdown.
Yeah.
I don't think we spent as much on fuel oil, there were some other lines
There's
where we.
generally a few things that add together for a modest surplus.
Yeah, I think the electricity, there were various lines that we underspent.
A little bit, yeah.
We try our best to I don't wanna say over, but we try not to underestimate.
Right.
Yeah, so if any surprises we have are pleasant ones.
We try.
We hope rather than
Yeah.
having to find ourselves in red. Yeah.
Doesn't always.
Alice?
Yeah, is somewhere in here, and again, I'm just going from the Google Drive, and so pieces are like some's here and some's here and some documents here. Where's the municipal, the individual municipal?
It's in there, so it's a,
Yeah.
it's in the
Page
Google
two.
Drive, I'll tell you what the
Oh,
document.
not just, thank you, thank you.
There is a breakdown.
Yes.
And that is an
Yeah.
area where I
Here too.
suppose we do have some, a choice to make about whether to take less
It's,
from the endowment or more from the endowment or whatever to translate to a change in the municipal contribution.
but as far as I understand, we hadn't received any comments from any trustees from the last meeting until now. And I will say, you know, it's really helpful if the board is ready to approve this budget at this meeting, because I will start to need to get those funding requests out.
Right, right. Typically done in January, so that's.
I was gonna do it at the last.
Peggy, sorry.
I know, this budget is, pretty much set. And as I've expressed before, I have concerns about it. I did vote for it in the Finance Committee. But I would like us to remember in this funding, especially as we look forward, there's another part of the funding equation, and that's the endowment. And we have in the capital campaign in phase 3 money for the endowment. But I'm wondering whether one possibility to consider, now again, not for this budget, but is to maybe during phase 2 or at some point as in our capital campaign, put some portion of money in the endowment sooner rather than, I don't know when phase 3 will be, but I think it's off a ways in the future, because then we could have our endowment growing as well. I just think it's something to think about. Otherwise, we keep increasing and increasing our municipal requests. So I'm that's just one thought. We may be able to put some money into, make some contributions to the endowment, at some point in the next year or so, and start increasing that. That could help us for the next year's budget, perhaps. So just a thought. I mean, I think the endowment that's another part of the equation that I think needs attention in the longer term.
I guess that will depend a little how successful, well, when we get a real cost estimate for some really hard figures for phase 2. How extent of phase 2, how much it will cost.
And how much we've raised,
How much we've raised, so certainly.
And weren't we using some of the money to pay the construction loan currently too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, the only thing I want to remind everybody, especially Peggy, and we've talked about this, is we still, and there'll be reports in future months when we know a little bit more about what's going on with the Thomas McDonald Trust. Because that potentially could offset some of our, depending on if we can relax a little bit how it's used, we actually may be able to see some revenue that can then offset to be used in other areas of the budget. And that's exactly what you're saying. That is a growth in the endowment. It's a more restricted growth. I mean, it was not restricted growth, but restricted use, but that can absolutely, our hope is that will help offset some budget monies to free it up for other areas. So more to come on that in the coming months. But that's one area that I do see a possibility of that happening sooner, because it is right now that money, there's $815,000. I mean, it's close to $1 million. It's a significant boost and potentially could be. So just more to come on that. So keep that in mind as.
Just want to say with what Peggy's saying, that, in order to make a difference, it's got to be a substantial contribution to have an impact.
Right.
It's, $100,000 or $200,000 isn't going to make much of a difference at all.
And in the campaign, we've only budgeted 500,000, yeah, 500,000, yeah.
See, we're really talking.
And we don't have the benefit of having time for growth with what you were saying, you know. Well, it makes sense if we do have time for growth, then, you know, more. You're talking about using the money in a couple of years, and it doesn't have much impact at all.
And as Carl was saying, the longer we wait to do construction, the more that's gonna cost. So that has a negative, if we say we're gonna put it in the endowment instead of paying for the construction project, and then that also could work, you know, not in our favor. So I think the McDonald Trust is really where we could see something the soonest. And I think we'll know in the coming months, we'll have more information about that.
So I'll make a motion to approve the budget.
Second.
So,
All in favor of questions?
yes, and maybe this is not the right time for this. I'm just looking at this going, we're gonna have some strategies about supporting this, like this is still the middle point, like a.
Oh, yes. We will have
library,
many talking
what it
points,
costs.
and I'm happy to talk with you ahead of, you know what I mean, at any point about that, but we do have some strategies for how we will present this.
Cause this seems, who knows what the tipping point is and which.
Right, we do have, yeah, we'll have strategies, and something I've been working on and thinking about, so yeah.
Yeah, and this, we've done this in past years as well. And that's why my side comments about having the statistics about use and people, you know.
Oh, yeah, no, I totally.
You know, it's a small
agree.
thing, but still, people love to have figures, and we've got.
Yes, they do.
Some cases we've got them. And they're, so, yeah, it's a full. We need
It's a big amount.
At the same time that you're talking about that, you're also gonna, I think it behooves us to talk about cost that other people are paying for their libraries in other towns.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yes,
That's a comparison.
I will run, I do that every year, I have the spreadsheet and I will update those numbers,
Yeah.
with whatever the most current data I have.
Yeah.
And I will have all of that available.
And I think too, with this is where our as trustees, you know, when appropriate, that we should at the appropriate time, you know, be present when when these discussions come or when there are presentations.
Right.
Assuming that, you know, Leslie's comfortable with that, just to show, you know, to show support and maybe help, you know, respond to some of the questions when it comes to that.
And it's
That's
also
important.
in a municipal situation, if people know who you are, they're talking to a person that they know already rather than again, like the capital campaign is the same. I think it's the same thing. It's easier to take it from somebody they know than somebody that they don't know.
And somebody that lives in their
Right,
town. I
yeah.
mean, they all know me and that's great, and I enjoy Clancy, but having a, you know, trustee from the town. But so what I'll do, what I normally do is when I hear from the towns about setting up meetings, I always contact Carl, Tommy, but I'll talk to the trustees in those towns and try to, you know, make sure that,
Do we ever reach out to corporators at the same time to say, go to the town meeting and support the library?
We do that as well.
Yeah.
We send
You
out.
did at West Bath last year, right?
Either I do, or if I've got a trustee that's, I know Peggy did it, I think, for Georgetown, so we have trustees that.
Not from
help do that.
Samantha. Yours are going to people's spam folder apparently, so somebody else needs to send the email.
Yeah, right, exactly.
No,
It can't
it's fine.
be me.
Okay.
They're like, oh, she's asking us for something again.
So, yes, there will be Allison, to answer your question, we'll have a strategy. We've got experience in doing it in the past. Probably have to be intensified this year, but yes, it's part of it. So there was a motion on the floor to approve the budget as presented.
There was a second.
There was a second, so all in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Okay. It's approved. The document retention and destruction policy.
Yes. This is a policy that's come before the trustees a few times, and the last time we ended up putting out some additional, getting feedback from the new CPA. And so those recommendation and changes have been incorporated into particularly the chart. So
That was pretty my question. I assume that included that.
So the new chart.
the better,
Yes, I
okay.
picked on last month's chart.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to acknowledge, especially that this is, I like this.
More
one.
specific.
Like this one
so
better?
Excellent.
I will say some of that language.
Validation, Leah.
That's great. That's
Yeah, I
great.
think I've got the version that I had at our committee meeting, and so I think the one that got sent out had had the change too. We tried to have more specifics and less vague.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I'm hoping this is ready
Yeah.
to go.
I think so.
If there's no more discussion.
Is there any discussion? Is there a motion to accept the
I'll move to.
policy as amended? Seconded, all in favor? Approved.
Maybe we got one. Now.
whole motion.
Oh, it's a lot. I'm more the messenger.
You want, Suki, you want to talk about the,
Well, we really haven't made much progress on that, but the one I almost sent it to you, but I've got a sheet that has like 5 different versions. But I would really like to, including one version that is the same thing, taking out the word joyful, which takes that out of people's.
okay,
But I would really like to have the staff input on that. I don't know what I'm sure it's shared with them.
The word packet is, so if you would like to,
I would like to have,
if you
give them, if it sits well with them, I'd like to know if that's what they think they're doing. Or what we are doing.
so maybe you said you have a document with 5 different, because I haven't seen with
Well-
do you want something, and we can talk
No.
about this
Yeah.
out of the meeting too?
That's what I'm wondering. I'm asking the board to see if it's okay with you if I can get staff input.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I do too. So I'll work with you to get something out to the staff to respond to.
Perfect.
Okay,
Okay, great,
all right.
that's better. Finally, I shouldn't say that, sounds negative, but the gift acceptance policy. LOT,
All right.
Yeah, so this actually has two parts to it, and it's the library of things that's with a planned launch date of February 1st. I think the version that went out in the packet didn't have, this is a modification of an existing policy, the gift acceptance policy, it's not new. And where those modifications happened were under collection materials. And then there was a separate section called library of things.
yeah,
I said that the wrong thing.
Yeah, I think
what happened is second.
Oh, shoot,
I have the library of
said the wrong-
things.
I have a
So
gift
sorry.
no, I think it's correct, but it went out
It's in
in
two
PDF
pieces.
format.
Oh, okay, right, no, I've got,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I have,
Yeah, it didn't have the red,
right,
just easier to look at. I mean, I can,
Yeah.
under collection materials after cash gifts,
Oh, yep.
there's a second sentence that said, that was new.
okay,
That says donated items may or may not be added to the library's collection
Right.
depending on current needs.
Mhm.
That's
Okay.
new. And then in the last sentence, the library does not accept responsibility for notifying donors of withdrawal, replacement, or return. And or return is of donated items
so where's this now, in the same
in that same paragraph.
Same paragraph.
All under collection
Okay.
materials.
Yeah, I see what happened. Yeah, it didn't save it
It
as.
went through as a
red. It's all the
PDF.
changes are there, but it doesn't
Right,
show you the track changes when I can.
the track changes didn't come up, so it just
Yes,
makes it
it's-
harder.
The text is right.
And then under the library of things, which is a whole separate topic under memorial / honorary gifts, that's entirely new.
Okay.
And within that, what's important to note is that there is a link
Mhm.
to library of things statement of purpose.
Right.
And the committee decided that that statement of purpose really should come before the board because it puts everything in context, because the library of things is entirely new. At first, we thought that was sort of a procedural document that might not need board review. So I think we're really looking at these as two different.
Yeah.
I think it'd be easier to do it as two different votes. That's maybe, I don't know. We could go ahead and go to the second one, but anyway, that whole library of things section that's new under the gift of acceptance policy.
And then it's referencing the document.
It's right.
Secondary
That's why we
We-
weren't sure whether it really needed to be, it's not a policy,
Right.
but it's referenced.
Yeah.
So it was.
It might be easier since it's referenced to do this all as one vote, but I think there should be, there were a couple of changes that the policy and personnel committee did make some changes to the Library of Things statement of purpose. And I think one of those didn't make it in correctly as well, so I needed to make one in. So I think the first part I would ask would at least be the gift acceptance policy, if there's any wording concerns on that addition to Library of Things. But I think that
I'm
was.
sorry.
It was pretty straightforward.
So I'm sorry, you said something was missing from which document that hadn't?
The Library of Things statement of purpose.
Statement of purpose.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Okay, but then the gift acceptance policy now incorporates the Library of Things.
So if it's okay, I'll just mention under and the statement of purpose document. Library, this would be the second sentence where it says access to those items removes financial barriers, promotes accessibility, enriches lives and learning opportunities, and sparks joy. And I think we had made a change to say brings enjoyment.
Yes.
And I think that didn't, I'm working off the one that we did.
That was the only.
Mine.
That was, I think that was the only, that was the only one.
Right.
And then the interlibrary though.
With that is there.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the other one, everything else was changed. That was one change from the committee that didn't make it in.
Okay,
So is there gonna be a grand opening on February 1st?
Yeah, it should. We talked about Library of Things, but any other just general description and discussion, this is just the policy to.
so you want the policy, a vote on first of all, the gift acceptance policy?
Yeah, but if you vote on that, because it references the statement of purpose, I think we could do it all in one vote.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's all one
Yeah,
policy?
because it's referenced.
Okay.
That's okay.
I will make one final comment, because when the statement of purpose, there's a reference to the material selection policy. So that one is not up for we're not changing that. That's
right.
an existing policy, but in the future that may need.
Yeah, we might add some things
Sure.
about
That might need
unusual
to be
things that we
changed.
Yeah.
accept. So, right.
Yeah.
We are aware that we'll do a little tweak in there as well.
Sure, as
That'll
we'll
become.
see what happens.
See what happens.
Bring in and donate. Is there any more discussion?
Yeah, go ahead.
Allison?
Do you have things?
We have things, we have things for preparing them and cataloging
Yeah.
them. We have shelving downstairs. We'll be ready for Feb 1.
Yeah.
We've had,
I was just
So
saying,
will
we've
it-
had.
we've had things, but we've called them the unusual things to borrow, and that's just gonna grow
Telescope.
it,
We're-
yeah.
we'll let
The
you-
borough?
Borrow, borrow?
Oh, okay.
Borough.
I'm thinking of like a little
Copier used to.
ditch.
Yes.
That's where the Library of Things shop.
Oh, okay.
And then once the plan is, we've got a couple of months under our belt with our new library things, we'll do a presentation to the board about how it's going. But staff wanted to wait until we got up and
Get a few
running.
things.
Soft opening.
Yes, so we'll report, so we'll report on it probably late
Soft
spring.
Okay. Might have some good stories.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure,
Yeah.
sure we will.
Is there a motion to approve the policies as two documents as presented?
Yeah.
With the changes noted by Leah,
That change.
Yeah, just.
seconded, motion, second, first and second. Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Oh, we got two.
Approved.
Thank
I
you.
have some stuff to donate to the library.
There's nothing,
Okay, here she comes.
Make sure you reference that new policy.
You have to take it.
unless there is anything else to be brought up tonight. Is it? It's, and I would just say that the next meeting will be on February 10th. Just note that. Is there anything else? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Moved. All in favor? It is 6:10. According to the computer.
If you